Is there any reason to buy another G-Shock? Of course, if you've never considered the most lightweight square in the world. Where is it? Oh, it's on my wrist. Hard as a rock and lightweight as a feather. This is a carbon G-Shock which is considered the most lightweight square in the world, which keeps the durability of any square but the relevance of the latest squares in terms of features. The GWS 5600U. This is a JDM model, but it can be found anywhere on the planet for less than $200. The Square, my friends, is one of the most popular and relaxed watches horology ever seen. It should have been 2 years since I started to deepen the G-Shock Square design, and so far I found them exciting. And it's quite funny, for the vast majority of the people, a square looks the same and does the same thing. For us, there are massive differences from version to version, either through color, finishing or the module features. We know they don't. So no matter how many squares you've seen or collected, there is always an interesting one to look up for. And G-Shock definitely knows their squares and how to differentiate them. And every time I get to review one, I'm wondering in advance, what can I tell this time about a square? And the truth is, when you get into details, there are so many geeky things to cover that makes it quite interesting, ultimately increasing the desirability to grab them all. So far, I've covered a lot of square versions starting from $50 ending up to $5,000. Metallic, resin, titanium, Cabarian and so on. But this one doesn't match any of the mentioned materials. So the aim of this carbon model was to offer or unveil a true racing motorsports theme for the square and to make it unique without any compromises. And for this reason, G-Shock came up with a watch which weighs only 45 grams, placing it as the most lightweight men's square ever made. Having a titanium case back, titanium screws, titanium pushers and a titanium buckle to fulfill this reason. Now we have to clarify exactly what are we reviewing, because this model received a module update a few years ago. The original model was called GWS 5601JF, which had the module 3159, and this newer one is called GWS 5600U1JF, which has the 3495 module, and you have to look up for the U letter after the model series, otherwise you might risk to grab the older version because they look the same. And module wise, this has an adjustable backlight from 1.5 to 3 seconds, where the old one had a standard 1.5 backlight time. Having as well the feature to get back to the timekeeping mode no matter where you are on the menu by keeping the bottom left button pressed. So tiny details. As feeling, and because it's lightweight, having carbon inserts in the strap, it feels like a stretchy band, pretty stiff as well. Having a sporty, quirky appearance due to the longitudinal text from the strap, the transparent case, but also the metallic microcarbon pattern which is unveiled on the display instead of the iconic bricks. However, when you strap it properly on the wrists, the situation changes. It becomes comfortable, lightweight and good looking for sure. Because the carbon insert really interacts with the light, and the lacquered finishing of the transparent resin makes it to pop even more, using the same technique applied on tuning cars with clear coated carbon hoods to make the car more light and more performant, which is the same principle and the same result into the square, looking like a high-tech reflecting square which you won't even feel on the wrist. Now, do not imagine this is ridiculously lightweight compared to the normal squares. It's more with the title. Because if we were to compare it with other squares, we have to do it based on the module, and luckily I have the same module in the negative 5610, which is a JDM model as well. This one weighs 48.7 grams, so the carbon one is with 3 grams lighter. Inside we have the thin module 3495, which offers multi-band 6, tough solar but no Bluetooth. So that's why it's thinner, both model having 12.5mm in height. And I do have to point out that the carbon one is one of the most legible displays out of the reviewed squares, and definitely a different appearance in height and weight compared to the solar ones or the anniversary model, which doesn't have the solar or the Bluetooth feature, measuring 13.1mm in height. So specs wise, we have 43mm as diameter with 47.2mm as lug tip to lug tip, 12.5mm in height, weighs 45.7 grams and offers 200 meters war resistance, with the updated module 3495 having slightly better specs than the previous 3195 module. As price, you can find it as pre-owned below $200 and slightly above $200 as brand new, but pay attention on the model number to contain the U letter. So if you want to treat yourself with something apart, which can be a conversation starter, being the most lightweight G-Shock in the world, this can be it. This can be the square to enjoy. I personally do not understand why should I wear a square with a metallic bracelet which weighs over 160 grams, knowing that contains a 20 grams module which technically does exactly the same as a 50 grams square. So I was never a fan of digital heavy watches, but the compromise for you to feel that you wear a watch with a bracelet must be definitely the composite combo, which makes it the perfect bridge between a resin square and a mechanical watch. As for myself, I'll probably stick to my DW5040PG on a bracelet because it offers the ideal combo between a genuine square DNA, the weight, height and comfort. And yes, I do not appreciate the solar models. They often remain out of battery because they sit in a studio where there is no light to keep them charged constantly. So I learned from my experience with military gadgets that a battery is a battery and it will never let you down, because you can always put a newer one when you need to operate flawlessly. That being said, hope you enjoyed the video, and I'm really curious to know what do you think about this carbon square. Please let me know in the comments below. And as usual, if you're new around, please consider subscribing for future episodes. Thank you very much, thanks for watching, and until next time, be brave and stay safe.